Welcome to Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech. We talk all the time about the digital world and who says what and how do they say it and who do they say it to. So you need some professionals like Drago and his team at Oak City Tech. They can help you get your message out to your former, current, and future clients the way you want to talk to them and grow your business. So go to oakcitytech.com. Tell them what you're looking for. I know they'll be able to help you. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning. Each week on Triangle BNI, we bring you a local small business success story. If you're not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. In the Triangle here, our little slice of heaven here, Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. Each week, there are about 31 chapters and about 530 members that meet. Our job is to help each other grow their business. And today we have a guest from the coastal region, which is the Wilmington area. Heather Gamester with Sheally Insurance. Heather is a member of the Rainmakers chapter there. They meet Wednesday morning at 8:45. So if you are in the Wilmington area or anybody you know that wants to grow their business, we invite you to join Heather's chapter, to visit her chapter, see what's going on, meet some good people. Good morning, Heather. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well. Thank you for the invite to join you today.
My pleasure. How's life at the beach? Is the weather good, calm, comfortable?
It, it's been great. It's been a little rainy, but the humidity has given us a little bit of a break for the past 2 days. So that's been nice, but the rain needs to stop now.
We agree on that. And we just know, for those of us that live inland, we just know that beach dwellers work till noon and then go hang out at the beach the rest of the day. That's right, isn't it?
I wish that was true. I really do. But honestly, of us that live here, we try to go after the tourist season. So, my husband and I go September, October to, have a little bit less amount of people there. So
I would imagine it's one of those it's, 10, 15, 20 minutes, how far you live away from the ocean, that if you can't go this last weekend, you can always go this coming weekend.
Yes, and that's something that we try to make sure we don't do. Sometimes you just take it for granted that you live here. So we do try to put it on the calendar to make sure we get out there. Our big thing is kayaking. So we can kayak right down the street from our house. So we enjoy doing that a little bit more than just sitting on the beach when it's 90 degrees and humid.
Yeah, really. Are these solo kayaks or dual kayaks?
They're solo. This was last year we started for the first time ever. And when we went to purchase them, there was this other couple there and they were asking us and we were asking them. And the woman said, unless you want to get divorced, make sure they're individual kayaks. So we just ran with that.
I think that's the only conclusion you can draw. I don't know which spouse would want to be in a dual kayak. I'm with you. I just would have never crossed my mind to buy one boat with two seats.
Of course, when we're out there, we'll see people in the dual kayaks, and all my husband keeps saying is, see, she's not doing any of the rowing. So for me, I'm like, that would be great. I can just sit and relax. But yeah, we do individuals.
Bring a book, bring a little flask. Absolutely.
Exactly. Make a great day of it.
Now, are these the kayaks where you sit or kneel?
Sit.
Okay. You're younger than I am considerably. How does your back hold up doing that for an hour or so?
It's not too bad right now. We did, because we're new to it, and we bought them used because we were wondering if we were going to like it. We didn't pay as close of attention to that. So this year we actually bought two more, and it does have much better back support. So it's, I think over time you have to make sure you get that extra back support for it. And honestly, what starts to hurt me are my hands because I'm holding it so tightly, the oar, probably more tightly than I need to, but it does start to hurt there. So, but again, I just sit back and let the waves take me down the river.
Is that a pretty good workout?
It is, absolutely.
Now, do you drop them off at the top of the river and drive down, or how do you do that?
No, so we'll go, it's River Road Park, and they have this cute little park area. You can drop your kayaks, and then we'll just go out and turn around and come back to the same spot.
Okay.
So,
All right. When's the last time you went kayaking?
probably about a month ago.
All right.
So, Yeah.
So if there was a husband-wife race, who would win?
Oh, me. We race all the time. We're very competitive. So we tend to race back. And we just had one just the last month. And he said he didn't know we were racing, but
Uh-huh.
we knew we were racing and I won. So,
Every Saturday he forgets, "Oh, are we racing again this Saturday?" Yes.
of course, of course.
Tell him that won't hold up in court. Nobody will believe
It
that.
does not. I always win. Of course, I don't really win anything, but it's just the bragging rights.
Yeah, you win the right to tell people, I need a new husband or a husband that's faster." Yeah, so let me,
Exactly.
yeah. Insurance. We've had numerous insurance agents on the show, and the
Mhm.
one thing I've learned through BNI is most people, I believe, are underinsured.
Correct, correct. So what happens is when you first obtain a homeowner's insurance quote, the insurance company and the agency run what's called a replacement cost estimator. And what this is doing is advising the insurance company what it would cost to rebuild your home in the event of a total loss. What has happened in the past couple of years of, as we know, the cost of labor, all of construction, especially the lumber, has just increased drastically. So what we tell our clients and homeowners is you really need to make sure that you're getting updated replacement cost estimators done, that you may think you're saving a couple dollars to underinsure your home, but in the event of a total loss, you want to be sure that you have enough adequate coverage to rebuild your home. One of the nice things when you're building a brand new home is the builder can tell you exactly what the cost to build minus land value is, and your agent should be able to use that number to give you the insurance quote that you need.
Yeah, and the other thing I've learned is most insurance agents, I don't know if I'll say most, there are a good number of insurance agents that don't follow up with their clients. And there are many clients that don't call their agent and go, "Oh, yeah, we bought a new car, we sold a new car, we've done this, that, or the other." And you need that interaction. That's why one of the reasons I love BNI is it's taught me to shop local. So you have
Yes,
your agent's phone number, and the agent actually checks in with you maybe every 6 months or so to see what's going on?
correct. What I highly recommend is it's your home. You are the homeowner, it's your vehicles. Make sure any change that you do, contact your agent. I know at our agency, you can give us a call, you can email us, you can text us, you can chat on our website. There's so many ways to get in touch with us. If you purchase a new vehicle, we're not going to know that. We don't, the DMV, your car salesman, they're not going to tell you. Some car salespeople will tell you that they're going to contact your agent. You need to as well. You're the one that's driving the vehicle. It's your responsibility. If at your home, if you do an addition on your home, we're not going to see that. We're not, we might drive by your house, but we're not going to notice that. You need to let your agent know. If you get a new dog as a family member dog, or you put in a swimming pool, contact your agent. As it's your home, again, you want to make sure that you're properly insured, and just give us a call. We'll go over it. It may not make a difference in your premium, but ultimately, we want to make sure that you're insured properly. And you want, as the homeowner, as the vehicle owner, you want to make sure your assets are properly insured as well. So
So that's like a screened-in porch, a patio, or a pool, anything like that?
anything you do to your home, especially anything that you do to your home that is increasing the value of your home, you
Uh,
need to let your insurance agent know. We want to make sure that we have you properly insured for that. In the event, again, from the insurance standpoint, we're looking at the event that your entire home is destroyed. The insurance company wants to put you back how you were, so we need to know if there's been any changes to your home. So,
and we'll do little things that we just don't think much of it or that it won't impact it, and truly, you
mhm.
need to just call your agent and say, "Hey, here's what we added."
You You do. And like you said, we're a local agency. So, there's so many ways to get in touch with us. Just keep that relationship open. I have a lot of my clients that will just send me a quick text. We're thinking of getting a trampoline for the kids. How will that affect it?
Oh.
And I text them back and we go over it. I have some clients that will call and say, we're doing a $30,000 kitchen remodel. Do you need to know that? The answer is yes. And there have been some questions where, one of the big ones on the automobile side is I just paid off my car. So please let me know so we can remove the lien holder. So there's so many things
Oh,
that as your insurance agent, we want to be made aware of. I just had a client last weekend. He just got engaged. He asked me if there was anything he needed to let me know. And I said, yes, because that beautiful ring that you just bought for
mm.
your fiance, we need to insure that. So,
Well,
just
yeah.
keeping that relationship open and letting us know of these life changes always comes in handy to be sure. Our job is to make sure you're properly insured, and we need all that information to do that.
And that leads into my next question, but before we go to that, anybody looking to buy a trampoline, make sure your medical insurance is really up to date because chances are there's gonna be a broken arm or a
Mm.
split chin or something like that. We didn't have one growing up, but I had friends that did, and, this and it's
Yeah,
usually guys, they're about 13 and they go, "Hey,
that's right.
is that limit too high for me to jump off of onto the trampoline, right?" And that's usually where it
Absolutely.
starts. It's guys
Oh,
trying to do, "Hey, y'all watch this move."
that
Uh,
exactly.
but talking about the engagement ring, most
Mhm,
of us, I'm sure we're told at some point in time to videotape or just record, walk through the
mhm,
house and record everything, just a photo of the chair, pictures,
mhm.
TVs, beds, everything. What
Yes.
percentage of people do that?
Very, very small percentage of people do that. And I don't know why, because especially nowadays, you have your phone in your hand, you have the
Yeah.
video. What happens in the event of a loss? So a hurricane comes through and destroys your house. The insurance company is going to ask you what you had. I mean, they need to know because most insurance policies are written for replacement costs. So it'll be like, kind, and quality that they'll replace it with. So they need to know, did you have a TV in every single
Mhm.
bedroom? If so, what type of TV?
Yeah.
There's a big difference between a 12-inch and a 72-inch. And the thing that people don't tend to remember or realize is when that happens, you've lost your home, you've lost all of your stuff, you're stressed out, you're very upset. It's going to be very hard to sit down and remember everything. If you can just take a video, it goes up on the cloud, you can go through and it's much easier to remember, okay, I did have a dresser in that bedroom as well.
Mm.
And on the flip side of that, homeowner policies, the standard homeowner policy is written for what the majority of people have in their house. So majority of us, if it's a 3-bedroom house, you have 3-bedroom sets, maybe 3 TVs, a living room TV. If you have items such as a lot of jewelry or fine art or things that other people may not have in their household, we need to, again, talk to your
Mm.
insurance agent, make sure it's insured properly and make sure there's a record of it. You don't want your house to burn to the ground and all of a sudden you're trying to convince the insurance adjuster that you had, the statue of David in your living room.
Yeah.
It's going to be very hard to prove that. So take pictures or video is the best thing. Walk through, just document it as you're going, save it. It goes to the cloud. You can also send it to your insurance agent. But nowadays, I mean, you have ways of bringing that up if you need it.
Yeah,
So,
because my initial thoughts are jewelry, electronic
mhm,
items,
mhm.
artwork, and we all forget about what in the world's in our garage.
Absolutely. The best thing to think of is if you dump your house upside down, everything that falls out is what we're looking to insure. And, the majority of us did not purchase a house and go out and buy it all at one time.
Mm,
I mean, think of just your kitchen alone, all of the
uh,
silverware, all of your dishes, all of those
mm,
items that you don't even remember that you have. And then a garage is another one, especially if your garage is not organized, you may not know what's in there. And that's going to be very hard to try to pull that back out, especially again when you're very stressed out and very emotional because you're going through this awful thing. So of a claim.
yeah, I know my wife Becky and I are in the minority of people who have way too much junk in their garage. I know very few of us have that problem.
Yes.
So we're starting to go through it. If there's
Same.
a word slower than slowly, we're going through it, whatever that word is. And Becky was grabbing some stuff from the boys. We have, half a dozen boxers, so with each of the boys' stuff separated, and,
Mhm.
trying to go through that stuff, and you're right, we're finding stuff from kindergarten, and our
Yes.
oldest was in kindergarten 31 years ago, so to your point,
Mhm.
we have no idea what we have.
Exactly, exactly. So,
Yep.
and I think I've done it, some of my clients have done it. It's just such a fun afternoon. It's raining and just go through your house and see. And then if you are looking to downsize at all, you've
Yeah.
already gone through and you can start getting rid of things that maybe you didn't even realize you had, and you could donate it, somebody else can enjoy it. So there's so many positives of going through that type of exercise at your own home.
Now you're mentioning the engagement ring, and
Oh,
you had an
come to
interesting
mind.
weekend, right? So tell us about what you guys did this weekend.
So our daughter, it just got engaged about a month and a half ago, and on Saturday, her and her fiance live in Raleigh. They came down here to Wilmington, and we went and looked at some wedding venues and reception venues. So it was, as anyone knows that have children, it was such a wonderful time, very emotional, but very wonderful. So hopefully they're looking in Wilmington, Savannah, Raleigh in the mountains for where they want to hold the wedding. So
Ooh,
hopefully they'll narrow it down at some point.
yeah. Did you give them a budget?
No, no.
And
But what, yeah, it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be a group effort to pay for this wedding.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice to have sons. And probably the nicest reason is we just get the rehearsal dinner, not the wedding. So that's a big
Yeah,
plus.
we've been having, my husband and I have been having talk about how there are some traditions that have been kept alive, and then there's other traditions that have not. Luckily, our daughter's marrying into a great family, so I think it's going to be a little bit of both sides going. Let's just get
Good.
these guys what they want. Let's
Yeah.
make sure it's a wonderful blessing of a day, and yeah, because then it adds up quick,
Oh yeah.
the wedding
Yeah.
portion.
When your daughter brought her now fiance home for the first time, was your husband cleaning guns or putting oil in the chainsaw or anything cool like that?
He wasn't, but it was so cute. So when Nate is our daughter Lexi's fiance, when he decided he wanted to propose, he tried calling me, but I was at a work event and I couldn't answer. So he called my husband to ask for permission, which is one of those traditions I hope continues to live on.
Yes.
It was wonderful. My poor husband, though, he was like, what did I wasn't prepared. What do I do with this? So luckily there was no question. We were, of course we're going to say yes, he's this great guy. But it kind of threw my husband for a loop that he had asked, that he had called and
Mhm.
asked, which was wonderful. But I was not home to help my husband through that.
Yeah.
So,
Now, if I can give you some future in-law advice,
yes.
tell Nate what to call you. Don't leave it up to him, Mrs.
Mhm, mhm.
Gamester. That's very uncomfortable, but that's
Yeah.
my soapbox right there.
Oh, yes. We already went through that when they started dating. First names, because you're
Mhm.
right. I did not know what to call my in-laws, and
Yep.
it's like, excuse me, hello. Like, you
Yeah.
just do everything you can to not use a name.
Yeah,
So,
and the reason I pass this advice on is because my mother-in-law pulled me aside because she had the same thing with her mother-in-law that you do, or at that
mm,
same situation, and her mother-in-law never said anything. And my
uh,
mother-in-law pulled me aside probably a couple months before the wedding and said, "Here's the deal. I'm Shirley. You can call me Shirley, you can call me mom, you can call
wonderful.
me whatever you want. Call me
Mhm.
something. Just don't go, 'Hey.'" And
Hey,
so,
hey,
yeah.
you.
Yep. So she's Shirley, she's grandma, she's
That's right.
grandma's a grandmother, Gigi is a great grandmother. So I used to use all
Well,
three, you know.
that's what
Yeah.
we do with my mother-in-law and my mom. Somewhere along the lines, they lost a name anyway, and
Yeah.
they're called by their grandparent
Yeah.
names, so which
But
is kind of nice.
I give this advice all the time to parents that are they're gonna have a daughter-in-law or son-in-law. Just it's very uncomfortable. So just tell them what to call you. So,
Exactly, and you're right. It's a whole different world,
yeah.
and to have, we're going to start calling him our son. He's such a great guy, but
Yeah.
it's a different world that once you're into it. But
Yeah.
eventually, hopefully, that world will land me into grandparent world like you.
Oh, it's the best club ever, people. Maggie is 9 days old now, and we got some video yesterday of her. All she was laying on my son's lap, and she just started hiccuping, and that just pissed her off. So she couldn't explain it yet, so she just started crying. He gave her a pacifier, and she stopped immediately. So we are going to see them this weekend, and
Oh,
just yeah, uh, her eyes are opened more, so she's starting to focus on things. So I'll give her the
oh,
tour of the house, tell her some stories. She'll be young enough to know that I can't sing, so I'll be able to sing
yes,
to her until she's old enough to realize Pop can't sing. So
that's
that's
right.
when I
That's
stop.
right.
So all right, so you are certified in a couple of different things. What is CBIA?
So that is Certified Business Insurance Agent.
Mhm.
Builders Mutual Insurance Company is a local company in Raleigh. I actually no longer am affiliated with them because I don't personally do commercial insurance. I only do personal homeowners insurance, automobile. But it was about a week-long course, and at that time I was doing a lot of work with builders and general contractors. So it gave me a really good way to learn what they are going up against, what I need to know in order to insure them. I did a lot of workers' compensation at that point. So I was able to really understand what a roofer or what a painter, what their limits are, what they can and cannot do as far as the insurance portion of it. So, and then it's something, once you get it, you always have it. And I was quite proud. My father was in construction, so it was just such a great different way for me to learn the construction field from an insurance standpoint.
Are
Mm.
you generally a good test taker?
No, 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 no. Not at all. In fact, here at Sheally, I've been an insurance agent in North Carolina since 2005. Just last week, I became a South Carolina insurance agent,
Ooh.
and that was one of the things that had me very nervous was the test, which testing in insurance is not hard for me any longer because I know so much about it. I spend my personal time reading about it, but I just get that very nervous. Like I can tell you all day long what an insurance
Yeah,
policy entails until you put it on a test. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I've
yeah.
never heard of insurance. So,
Back in the day when we were living in Daytona Beach, I was a business broker for a couple years, which I enjoyed. And in Florida, you have to be a licensed realtor to be a business broker. And so I had to take
okay.
that test. And so I studied. I drove from Daytona to Melbourne once a week for 6 weeks or whatever, take the class, and then went and took the test. It's on a computer. And as soon as you hit submit,
Mhm.
the people at the front desk get your test scores. And so I'm done. I'm walking up front, and this nice lady said, "Sir, come with me." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I failed. I put all this time." So we go into a room. And she goes, "Congratulations, you passed." And I
Oh
said, "Oh, thank you very much, but don't lead somebody in a room next time and say come with
no,
me."
no, at
Like,
least give some
ah,
sort of hint because that's a long walk.
yeah. And I don't know if they scored it. I didn't care. I love pass fail.
Yeah.
Love
Oh,
pass
yes.
fail. One of my
I do
favorites.
too. I do too.
You are also a notary. I
Not anymore. Not
Okay.
any longer. I just gave that up.
All
Yeah.
right. I believe that you've probably, if you could share a story without the names,
Yes.
probably had a client that didn't quite understand how this process worked.
We have. So, like I said, I did just recently give that up, but it was not a client at any agency. It was actually somebody that lived in our old neighborhood who decided that he was going to be very helpful and sign everything before bringing it to me.
Mhm.
And then he thought, being even more helpful, he would just leave it on my porch with a
Mhm.
little text message, please be sure to notarize these. Thank you.
Yeah.
And he was less than happy when I explained that that's not how it works. I need to watch you sign it.
Mhm.
You need to be in front of me. I need to ask you some questions. And it did. Unfortunately, some of that paperwork had to be regenerated, and he did not come back to me to notarize anything ever again. So that was really the one story. And then I had a story that an attorney's office called me because the paralegal, she knew me, not very well, but she knew who I was. She asked me about a signature I notarized, and I didn't. And I went through my notary book, and I was racking my brain. I was so nervous. She called me back and said it was a different Heather. So that was the first one I had that really just freaked me out. I mean, I was like, I don't remember. I looked at, as a notary, you keep very good records of everything that you've done. It didn't match up. I was quite relieved when she called me back because I thought
Yeah.
somebody must have stolen my stuff, even though I had it in front of me, or I didn't even know. So those are my two stories that kind of went towards I'm not renewing. I'm just not going to do it,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
People need to understand that the purpose of a notary is to watch you sign it, not just say,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, this is signed."
Yeah, and he was just being so helpful. And if you're not a notary and you haven't had things notarized, you know that that's what it is.
Yeah.
You want to, if somebody's doing you a favor, you want to be as helpful as you can. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, don't sign before your notary watches you and IDs you and asks you questions.
Yeah. One of the fun things I get to do over the weekend is do some intel on upcoming guests just to get things to talk about that intrigue me. I don't need to know facts. I don't need to know important stuff. I just need to know things that intrigue me. So
Yes.
I'm on the Sheally Insurance website, and
Yes.
I see this a lot in real estate is there are two professional photo poses. There's one with the
Oh,
hand on the hip and one with the arms crossed, and you nailed both.
thank you. I always there's some great photographers that do
Mhm.
some work, and I always feel bad when I know I have to go and visit them. I'm horrible at taking my picture. I think they always have to work so hard, but they do. All of everybody I've ever had my pictures taken from have done a great job, for sure. And those do seem to be two good poses.
Mhm.
I see a lot of realtors with those
Yeah.
poses, and it does seem to work. It gives me something to do with my hands, which is very important.
And that's hard to do in any photo, even for guys. Do wait, hand in the
Yeah.
pocket or not. My
Yeah.
favorite, I'm gonna see if I can pull this off. My favorite realtor pose is the arms folded and the head back.
Oh, yes.
And
Hmm.
I don't get that. I'm sure somebody started that, and I'm sure somebody tells them it means this.
Right.
I don't get that, but it cracks me up.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It's
I feel for people doing that. So I'm reading through some stuff of yours, and well, let's get to Lance first. One of my
okay.
favorite questions on the show to ask married couples is, how did you meet? So how did you and Lance meet, and do you both tell the story the same way?
We do. Well, for a little while, I used to make up the story on how we met. So if you ask Lance, he will look at me to see which story he's supposed to tell. Years ago, I was like, we'll just tell the true story. And unfortunately, now the true story that I have to tell, we met at a bar. I was there, a good girlfriend of mine at the time, just broken up with a boyfriend. She called me. She said, "Let's go to the bar." There was dancing, but it was a bar. And he was there with some of his friends. And the thing about my husband is he's very shy. He doesn't just talk to people. So he had come up to ask me to dance, which is something he had never done before. So which
Yeah.
was wonderful. But there was a lot of alcohol involved. So for a long time, I was like, let's just tell people we met at a night out, and that was it. But it's obviously worked. We've been together for a while, so it's but no one likes to have to tell people that we met in a bar with
Mhm.
alcohol.
Now, when
Um,
he was walking over to your table, did you know he was coming for you?
no, I didn't even until he was standing there. I hadn't even noticed him. So it
Oh,
was.
good. Make sure you throw that in too when you speak of
I
your current
I
husband.
I do. It's so funny. And but I told him a week later we went out on a proper date, went out to dinner, and I told him later, and of course not that night, that I knew I was going to marry him that night. I was just over dinner. He kept saying he wasn't sure, but I knew. So he didn't really have he had a choice, but I already knew what was going to happen.
Is he
But
that
so
good of a dancer?
no,
You were just that
no.
drunk. Okay.
I think so. Yeah, he's just when you're married as well, you talk to that person that you just know is your person, and that's
Yep.
what happens. My husband's a really great guy, so much patience. He has to. He's very patient, which is wonderful.
Except when you're not working and there's no commission coming in, right?
Yeah, yes, he does have some poor jokes going on.
Now,
But,
to give everybody some context, so Heather and I have known each other maybe a month now since I started working with the Wilmington Group. And
yeah,
you're one of my favorite people I've met down there. And I told two
thank
people
you.
that off camera, and I'll tell you that on camera. We
I
we
appreciate that.
connect.
Yes.
And Heather changed jobs recently, so you had a Friday off, right?
Correct.
So you had
Yes.
one day off before you started your new job on Monday, and that
Yes.
drove you crazy. You personally, didn't it?
It did. So I was at another place for almost 9 years, and I decided to make the move to Sheally, and I've been here. This is my fifth week now. Best decision I've made. It's outstanding. But I had stopped working and then took one Friday off just to make the final decision and make sure everything's where I wanted to be. And that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I did not know what to do with myself. It was the weirdest thing of I'm not employed. I'm not, I'm between jobs, but I have not ever had that. And it was odd. And that's why my husband likes to make his jokes, because he had that one day where I was not employed. And I have a feeling even at our, 70th wedding
Yeah.
anniversary, he's still gonna be like, you remember that one Friday in 2022? So
He'll say, I purposely did not talk to any of my, or didn't want to meet anybody new that day. Said, so what is your wife doing? I'd have to say, she's unemployed.
exactly, exactly. So
Now you're okay on vacation, just not unemployed for a day.
correct.
Oh,
It's
okay.
because I love insurance. And I know that sounds so weird, but I love what I do. I love insurance. I love helping clients. And I, even when I'm not officially working, like in the office, I'm stopping at open houses, I'm stopping at realtors, mortgage brokers, auto dealerships, anything I can do to just get it out there that, give me a call, let me help you. Well, that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I couldn't do that because I didn't have, it was just me. I didn't have a backing of a brand name, Sheely Insurance now currently. So, of course, Murphy's Law, that Saturday, there were some great houses up, open houses that realtors had that I'm like, okay. And Friday, I just sat around, it's just not, just sitting around, not doing much is not really a me thing. So,
Now you talk about how oh, by the way, you're not a horse owner, are you?
no.
Because when I Googled your name, this very successful horse owner up in the Pennsylvania area, I know you're from the Northeast. I
Mhm.
thought probably not, hadn't come up in conversation, but I like to ask just so I know the answer. So,
So my husband's family, his grandparents, they passed away since in Massachusetts, they had a riding academy. So he comes from a very big
uh,
horse. So it could be maybe a portion of that. But no, I'm highly allergic to most animals, including horsehair. So I do not. But my husband grew up with it. My daughter can ride once in a while. She actually mostly enjoyed just like, brushing the horses.
now
So
you have one of the coolest last names, Gamester. I mean, there's so many neat things you could do with that. I think you and I talked about your new rap name when we first met. We had some fun with that. So Lexi's going to be marrying out of Gamester.
she is.
She can't be
So,
going to anything cooler than that, right?
I don't think so. Her last name will be Sudeth, which is great, except yeah, it's
Mm,
not the Gamester. It's
mm.
yeah.
She might want to
So
keep Gamester. I mean, that rocks. So,
it
uh,
is. It's a lot of fun.
so as I'm doing some reading on you, I saw that you and Lance were in the Polar Plunge 5K earlier this year.
We were. So it's something that's done for the Special Olympics. And my husband and I, Lance and I did the 5K, but then Lance himself jumped in the water. That was not something that I was actually
Yeah.
going to do. But they do it every year down at Carolina Curry Beach, and it's a great way. It's all the benefits go to the Special Olympics. And one of the things, I don't know if you'd seen this on some of my social media, my sister has two children that have Down syndrome. So of course, the Special Olympics, we did this in honor of them, and it was a lot of fun. 5Ks are that's great for me. Like I said, my husband and some of our friends jumped in that freezing cold water. That was not something I was willing to do.
Now, that's a great cause, and I want to keep you as a friend, but I saw your time for 3 miles. Was there a headwind that nobody ever saw before? Kind of,
We
kind of
we mostly
slow.
walked it too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we jogged, we walked. Yeah, Lance and I, we try to walk though a mile and a half, 2 miles every night, but we walk, we stroll, and
Yeah.
that was kind of the same thing. And at one point, because we were so far behind people, we decided to jog, but then all of the volunteers, they're standing out there, they're clapping for you, and I got embarrassed, so then I slowed down even more. And yeah, it was luckily they let everybody finish no matter how slow or how
Yeah.
fast you are.
Well, and I stopped when I found your name, which was 148th place. I didn't scroll down to see. I'm going to tell the story that there were 4,000 entrants.
That's
So I'm going to
right.
tell that story, not
Yes,
400,
that's
4,000, right?
exactly. Yes.
I've had a couple friends run either the New York Marathon or the Boston Marathon, and what they learned was whatever you write on your shirt, that's what
Mhm.
they yell out. So,
Oh,
hey, go, you know,
yeah.
whether you put your first name or whatever word or phrase you put on your shirt, that's what they yell out. And I thought, oh, that could be really fun and really embarrassing depending on what you put in your shirt. And I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah.
people put stuff on their shirts.
I'm gonna have to start listening. I didn't realize. I'll start listening for that now.
So next year when you run, if you
Mhm.
do it again, put something clever or funny on the front of your shirt that they can read. Because normally you're wearing the bib with the number on there. So they can
Correct.
track you should they not find you after, 48 minutes, 51 seconds. Right. But yeah, so come up with something clever like that and see if
I
the
like that.
volunteers yell that.
Exactly.
All right. So how did we get here for insurance? Who in the world, Heather, goes into the insurance world?
Yeah. It's like, so I was in college and I needed to get just a job to, help pay the bills in college. And I went through a temp agency in New Hampshire, and I was in school for criminal justice. That's
Mhm.
my degree. So, and law, pre-law, paralegal studies. So the temp agency said, well, there's this insurance company and they're looking for an assistant to the surety bond attorneys. You probably would work. So I was like, all right. And I ended up working there, became a permanent employee after talking to a few of them, worked underneath somebody who's still my mentor today, is a wonderful attorney. And then from there, once you get in, you never get out. So I worked with them for a couple of years, and then I went from the insurance company side to the insurance agency side, handled commercial insurance, personal insurance, surety bonds. But it was all because of a temp agency, and then just really working under an attorney in the claims surety bonds she was everything that I wanted to make sure I was professionally. And she was in insurance, so I decided to stay. Well,
Now, what I really want to know, you are a proud graduate of what is now Mount Washington College, but when you were there, it was Hesser College, right?
correct.
All right,
Yes.
in New Hampshire.
Yes.
You got your Bachelor of Science degree in criminal justice. So now that I know you a little bit, I'm thinking you would have been kick ass in the courtroom as a trial attorney, but
Yeah.
probably pretty good as an investigator.
What I wanted to do is I wanted to work with children. I wanted to work and be an advocate for children in
Cool.
the criminal justice field. I Going to a court would have been great, but I don't know. Back then, I definitely didn't have the confidence to be able to
Mhm.
do that. So my sights were set on doing something to help children, wherever it ended up being. I actually looked at doing social work, but God bless all of
Mhm.
those social workers. I couldn't. I just went to a couple places. When you're in college, people let you come and just
Mhm.
kind of shadow them. I couldn't live. I was devastated every
Yeah.
night. It was so much. And then as the criminal justice continued, I thought maybe I'll flip over somewhere. There's so many places to help people, but I'll never forget. I was doing what they refer to as a ride along, and we were running, the police officer and myself. He was chasing. I was just running with him down an alleyway, chasing this guy. And halfway down, I stopped, froze, and thought I could get really injured,
Mhm.
and it scared me. And so, not being able to emotionally handle helping the children on that portion, and then realizing I didn't really want to get hurt on the other,
Mhm.
I kind of gave up on where to go from there. So,
Isn't that funny how most people aren't in the profession that they went to school for.
Yeah, I don't have too many coworkers throughout the
Mhm.
past 22 years in insurance that said, I want to be in insurance. It's usually something else that gets you in here. And then, just like anything, after a few years, if you like it, you have
Mm,
to like it.
yeah.
You realize you can make a difference and, that it is a great field to be in. And there's so many different avenues, but it's very different from what I ever thought
Oh,
I
yeah.
was going to do
Yeah.
growing up.
Because it's a Vegas bet when you were 18 if they said, "Heather, when you're 34 years old, you're gonna be selling commercial insurance." Nah,
Yeah,
not gonna happen,
no,
right?
no. I mean, I wanted to be, rich and famous, travel the world.
Yeah,
So
why not?
yeah, there was Queen of England, but no, insurance agent was not in the top 10.
I was speaking with another insurance agent last week, and I said, "What's the strangest thing you've ever insured?" And he told me a bull because
Really?
somebody was buying it from another state, and they had to insure it for transportation purposes because they were
Okay,
gonna use it
yeah.
for breeding. Heather, what's the strangest thing
Wow.
you've ever insured?
I definitely can't top that because I'm thinking if that comes across my desk, I'm going to reach out to you to find out who to insure that with.
I got you on that.
It's like, that's a great one. On the personal line side, your personal home auto, nothing too crazy. I've definitely not been asked anything like that. When it was commercial side, it was be very interesting. Somebody reached out to me and wanted me to insure their illegal business. And yeah, you cannot insure something that's illegal. So that was an interesting one to, and again, biggest part of my job is to educate you.
Mm,
This person called because they really thought that they could. So, whereas you and I laughed, and I can tell this story now, I had a very good conversation to educate them on why we can't insure something that, is illegal. So that was always a weird one. And it kind of stuck with me because I was able to learn how to talk to somebody. You want to be like, don't do that. It's not okay. But to really explain why without making them feel bad.
yeah.
It was just such an interesting moment in time.
Alright, so without asking the business or the industry, was it a profitable business this person had going?
Well, as you can imagine, I within a few months, I just kept my eyes and ears on the news, and it probably not too profitable because I did see that he was became a resident of the state, a visitor of the state. So no, that was not, yeah, not quite. And I was very happy, as was my employer at that
Yeah.
time, I'm sure, that we were not associated with the insurance portion of it.
I
So,
like
which,
the fact that he had the confidence that somebody out there might insure his illegal business.
well, he just, like he said, he loses a lot of money if something were to happen. And I'm like,
Oh, I bet
that's
it yeah.
not. And I think what probably happened is he probably tried to, ask somebody else that's not in insurance, that may
Mhm.
be in law enforcement, and yeah, it was interesting that a couple months later watching the news. So,
Hey, that's up there with a bull. I was thinking an object. I would have never thought an illegal business. That
no,
is
I've
outstanding.
never had anyone ask me to insure anything out of the ordinary, and a bull is definitely that. That's a great one.
So if you're not in insurance today, what are you doing
You
for a
mean
living? What would you be
for
doing if you weren't doing insurance?
working at a daycare or a school, working with children?
All right.
So yeah, that's I'm one of those. I just met one of my newer coworkers, his child last week, and he's, I think, about 2.5, 3, and we just had a great time. And another coworker said, "Kids love you," and I'm like, "Yes, they do." So if it wasn't for
Do all of
insurance,
them love you, Heather?
not one. There is a wonderful person out here in the mortgage industry,
Yes.
and he brought his 5-day-old child in, and yeah, he every time I held him, he cried.
And
Like,
I was
still
there, but
devastated.
I was
Yes.
there last week, but in fairness to Heather, She gave him back to the dad. The kid kept screaming. The dad gave the kid to the mom. Kid shut up in a second.
Yes, exactly. But the good news is the baby's father is a friend of mine. So as that, I'll have the opportunity to watch the child grow up, and I'm hoping our relationship he doesn't cry. And yeah, I'm gonna start just kind of working on him, making him not want, but
Yeah,
yeah,
but at that age, it's a crapshoot. I mean, at the age of 4, it can be, but at
yeah,
the age of 5 weeks, they want mom. That's
they
who they've
do.
seen the most. Like, where's my mom? I'll
Yeah,
recognize her.
exactly.
Just keep passing me to
It,
people.
Exactly, which is what you want because
Yeah.
there's nothing better than when my daughter was little, she'd fuss with everybody else. I'd get her and she'd be happy, and
Yep.
that's exactly what you want.
Oh,
Except
yeah.
I didn't like sitting in the room and he crying every time I held him.
All right. So, real quick before we go, for the
Mhm.
people watching and listening today, what's one thing they should do with regard to their homeowners or auto insurance?
Especially while we're in hurricane season, you need to look at your insurance policies. Look at your deductibles. That's very important. You do not want to find out during a claim that you were unaware that you had a $2,500 homeowner's deductible or even a $500 auto deductible if you're not prepared to pay that deductible in the event of a claim. Like we talked about earlier, look at the replacement cost on your home. For the majority of the homeowner policies, you're going to see it listed as either coverage A or the dwelling limit. Make sure that that seems adequate to you. We're not insuring land, so this would just be what it would cost to rebuild the structure itself in the event of a loss to your home. We also talked about briefly personal property. If there's something in your home that you're not sure is insured, call your agent, double check, because again, you want to do these things before there's a claim. And make sure that you're looking at your policies. Flood insurance is always a separate policy from your homeowners. If you don't have flood insurance, even if you're not in what they call a high hazard flood zone, call your agent, get a quote for flood insurance. If you're in a preferred flood zone, it's very, very cost effective. Maybe look at getting that coverage in place. Well, again, we're in hurricane season. You don't want there to be a hurricane, and that's when you find out you do not have the coverage you thought you had.
And that takes a little while to get approved. So you can't call today if you hear a storm coming towards North Carolina. It's a little late.
It is. And when there are storms coming, the closer they get, the insurance companies go under what they call moratorium, which means we can't insure you till the storm passes. So, and the same thing, they'll do that with deductibles. If you currently have a $2,500 all other peril deductible or a 1% windstorm and hail deductible, and you want to make a change, you cannot do that while we're under moratorium because that hurricane is here.
Yeah.
So take, again, a rainy Saturday, pull out your paperwork, look at it. If there's anything on there you're not 100% sure of, ask your agent. I mean, we'll be able to tell you what it is and then let you know if there's something that we need to do, an endorsement or a change to that coverage to be sure that you're properly insured.
And Heather can write insurance all over the state of North Carolina and now South Carolina. Congratulations on that. We've been
Thank
putting her
you.
phone number up on the screen. If you just want to talk to her and ask a couple questions, I know she'll help you with that. Heather, a lot of fun today. Love the stories.
Thank
I
you.
always put a note when I log the guest and the date and everything. I always put in there a note for me to remember because when I introduce people via email, I like to say, oh, yeah, by the way, when you meet Heather, ask her about this. So this is you were approached to insure an illegal business. That is such a good story.
It was something else.
Love that.
You never know. And that's what
Yep.
makes this industry so great. You never know what's going to be on the other side of that phone.
Oh, such good stuff. Anyways, good luck with everything. I will see
Thank
you
you.
guys next week, but we appreciate you having you on. We appreciate you being on the show with us.
I appreciate it. This has been wonderful. Thank you, Mike.
Yep. And we will see everybody next time on Triangle BNI.
You are tuned tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.